Hello, I'm Tilly and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm processing parsnips. Now I was lucky enough to be given loads of carrots, parsnips and swedes, and the person that gave them to me, who is going to remain anonymous, but you know who you are, she bought loads of these at the run up to Christmas, where in some of the supermarkets in the UK they did really cheap parsnips. Well, they did parsnips, carrots, cabbages, broccoli, Brussels, lots of veg like that for 19p for like a 500 gram bag. And they were so cheap. She went out and she bought loads of them and then discovered that she couldn't use them all. She couldn't do anything with them. She used some of them and then didn't know what to do with the rest. So she gave them to me. Now, they were past the best, but they're perfectly usable. Just got a little bit brown. I couldn't keep the skins. I've had to peel them and discard the skins, but they'll be going in the compost heap, so they won't get wasted. Now, I've already done loads of carrots, well, loads of everything actually. There's some of the dehydrated carrots that I've done. So some of the parsnips will be done the same way. I have already processed lots of them. Now I've got 4 different types of ways that I'm processing this lot. Now, the moral of this is, if you're buying cheap stuff to save money, make sure you use it, because otherwise it's not cheap. It costs you more in the long run, because she actually bought loads of this, and I will be processing some of it and giving it back to her, and I will be keeping half for me and half for her. So I'm processing it all, and then we're going to share what we have of the whole proceeds of it. So the moral of the story really is, if you're going to buy the cheap fruit and veg and any produce that could spoil, please do use it. Otherwise your 19p veg ends up costing you far more than you would have paid normally for it. Fortunately for her, I can process some of this for her and she's still going to get the benefit out of it. But the people that don't process it all and they just end up throwing it away, well, it's heartbreaking. I like to process everything. So I have a really quick way to do it. So I'm going to take you through how I do it at the fastest I can possibly do it. So I'll turn the camera around and show you exactly what I'm doing here. So I have a series of bowls and pans around me. Now this is the ones that I've peeled ready. So that's the one I'm working from. So this pan is for the roasting parsnips. They're going to be blanched and put in the freezer, and I tried to keep them all a uniform size, so I've cut the ends off to get the nice shape and size so they all cook evenly. Now the ends that I chop off, I use them for the other parts as well. So there's a big pan of those, and I can always change my mind later with these, so I like to do a big pan of these, so if I change my mind later and don't want them all for roasting, I can soon take them out, chop them up and dehydrate, or put them in a soup or stew, however I decide. So the other way is I make the slices out of them. So I've got a processor here, which I'll show you in a minute how I do it. And just slice them all up to go in the dehydrator to either dry as they are, make parsnip crisps, or add a bit of oil, bit of flavouring. They can also be done in the oven. So really versatile, and they make great healthy snacks. So we all like those. The other ones I do is to chop up the bigger sizes, little cubes like this. And I do 2 sizes. So I have this size, which is a bit chunkier, and this size, which are the smaller ones, which I dehydrate. And obviously because they're smaller, they dehydrate quicker than the chunkier ones. So that's what I did with these carrots, and they've just finished dehydrating, so they're being conditioned at the moment, and that's the sort of size they dehydrate down to. And they will keep on the shelf and last for ages, so I don't have to freeze them. So I have my processor, which is excellent, and I use this so much, and this actually saves me hours and hours of time. It's got all the attachments for it. Now, I'm not trying to sell you this. This is just a tool that I use, and I think it is amazing. So it's just something that I use, and it is so easy, but really, really, really sharp. Please, if you do get one of these, be very careful. These are razor sharp, and they just pop out like that, and you can put your next one in. So I just hold it by that, don't touch the metal parts at all. Slide that across and it locks it in place. So that's one part of it. Now, to start with, what I do is I go through, and this is the mandolin part of it. Now, I do recommend that you get one of those chainmail gloves to use with these. I have been using these for like forever. I've never cut myself, touch wood. And I just using the glove that came with it, but I really do recommend that you get a proper chainmail glove, the metal ones, so you don't cut your hands. So first of all, I go through and do all the roast parsnip sizes and take all those out. So what I would do is get one like that size and chop the part off that I want for roasting, like that. Cut it down the middle, and then that will go in the pan for roasting. And now with the other part, with some of them, push it onto the end there, and then just slide it across the mandolin. It's a really safe one, it's really safe, but obviously you do have to treat these with a lot of respect. But you've got a nice guard, so it does help. And then that part I just put to one side, and that will be chopped into one of the chunk sizes later. So I just go through, and what I do is just tip it up, because if it builds up here, it starts coming out the other side of the mandolin. So it's just one little thing that I do to help make life a bit easier. I would usually go through these and do a big batch at a time, cutting them and then shredding them. So they're going to roasting. That goes on there. Take that bit off. So that's how the mandolin part works. And as you can see, that is really, really quick. And then I just tip those into the pan. And they go into the dehydrator or the oven, depending on how I want to do them. So the next size I'm going to do is these little cubes for the dehydrator. And for this, I use the little cubes. Always make sure it's locked in place, and that just keeps it tight there. Now, I don't place these on, I drop them on, because I don't want to get my fingers anywhere near those little blades, because they really are sharp. So it will be noisy, so I drop it down and just give a chop down. So you can see how quick it gets through doing a little batch like that. So they're now all ready for the dehydrator. They'll go in the bowl with the little bits in it. These I mostly use for soups. So next, the bigger size, this one, is what I use for the stews mostly. So put this back on, unlock it from there, take that out and put the bigger size in. Now this one is a lot easier to chop because obviously it's not having to cut through so many pieces. So I don't leave, just close that. I don't leave them too big. I do cut them down so you're not having to chop through such thick pieces. It just makes life a lot easier. These are some of the ends that I've previously cut off, the ones that I've put in the roasting, for the roasting ones. So we'll just get some of those little ones out of there. And then they can go straight in. And like I say, this is a lot easier than the smaller ones. And then that's that batch done. Now, I'm not a professional chef or anything by any means, so I don't do all the fancy chip, 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 chip chopping. I'm just a normal housewife that does normal foods and does normal chopping. So this bit of equipment saves me hours, literally saves me hours. So this is my dehydrator. It's the Excalibur 9 tray, so I get lots in here at a time. And just put them on there. You can put oil on it if you want to, or seasonings, whatever you like. Just make them into lovely crisps and they work beautifully. Same with the carrots. So they'll be dehydrated. These are for the roasts. They're the ones I've still got to do. These are the chunkies for the stews. These are the smaller ones for the soups, or just for dehydrating and using soups later. And these are the crisp ones that I'm going to do in the dehydrator and the oven. So with this machine you can also grate. It's got a grater in 2 sizes, so you can grate with it. It's also got a spiralizer attachment, you can use that, but I don't get on very well with the spiralizer. It doesn't really work well for me at all. So I haven't used that. I tested it to start with, but I didn't like it. So that's all my ways of prepping my parsnips and carrots and all that sort of thing. So I do hope you're going to be prepping yours and not wasting it, because we all need to be saving our foods and saving money, and this is a great way to do it. So I will leave the link for this in the description below. You don't have to get the same one, it's entirely up to you. It's just the one that I use and I think it's amazing. I just wanted to cut in and show you a video of the finished article of the 2 dehydrated things. These are the dehydrated crisps and they're nicely dried, and to me they taste a little bit like desiccated coconut. They've got the texture of coconut when you bite into them. That's what I think anyway. They're really, really nice. I didn't put anything on them at all. I didn't even blanch these because these will be used up within the next 2 days maximum. They go very, very quickly in our house. So these will be used up. These are the dehydrated small cubes that I did. And there's the finished article of those. They really dry quite quickly with being cut quite small. So that's why I do those, and they are perfect now to go in the soups and stews, and well, it'll mostly be in the soups. But they can go in anything. You can just chuck a handful of them in any sort of meal that you really want them. So these will now go in a jar. These will be conditioned on the shelf to make sure they're completely dry, and then they will be going on the shelf and will be shelf stable. So that's how I process my veg, all the root vegetables, various ways. There's lots of different ways you can do them. This is just some of the ways. I mean, you can do mash and all sorts with this sort of stuff. So I do hope that was helpful, and I do hope that you will be processing your fruit and veg and not having any waste. So hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.